One wrong decision in an inherited IRA can cost you thousands in taxes. Generally, the IRS will give any non-spouse beneficiary 10 years to withdraw the money from an inherited IRA. But before you touch $1 of that money, there's several things that you should think about. Just to be clear, we're talking about non-spouse beneficiaries. Okay, in this instance, let's just say Uncle Bob left you his IRA. Thanks, Uncle Bob. In this situation, you have 10 years until you have to withdraw all the money from that inherited IRA. And there's certain things that you should be thinking about when you first get that money inherited and in your name that will help you make a strategy and will help you plan out exactly when you're going to withdraw the money, because you don't have to wait the full 10 years. And for most people, I don't think it's best to just kick the can down the road and say, in 10 years, I'll empty out this account. So this is exactly what we look at and questions that we ask when we're trying to come up with a strategy and helping our clients figure out when is the best time for tax purposes to pull this money out of the IRA. First thing to think about is to know what kind of IRA you inherited. A traditional IRA, or is it a Roth IRA? Traditional IRA, again, is pre-tax money. A Roth IRA is after-tax money. That alone completely changes and shapes the entire planning conversation. The reason I say that, if it's a Roth IRA and you're taking qualified distributions, it can be completely tax-free. Still has to be taken out within 10 years, but it can be completely tax-free. In a traditional IRA, okay, Uncle Bob never paid taxes on the money he put into the IRA. You're going to inherit not only the money, but the tax liability that comes with it. So every dollar that comes out of that inherited IRA is going to go down as your income. So the first step is to realize, is this money that's going to be subject to income taxes when you take the money out of that IRA? Another thing to look at is your current taxes. What bracket are you currently in? A good strategy is often to take out enough to fill up the bracket without bumping you into a higher bracket. But you want to know, what tax bracket am I in right now? So if I pulled money out from this inherited IRA and it gets added to your income, what is that doing for your overall tax bill that you owe? Remember that in a traditional IRA, which you now own, it's not about if you'll pay taxes, it's when you're going to pay taxes. So realizing what bracket you're in right now, what your income level is, and how added income to that will affect what you owe in taxes is something that's very important. The next thing you want to look at is your future. What I mean by that is, maybe you're single right now. Do you plan to get married? Do you think you'll end up getting a promotion or making, just in general, more money down the road in the future? Are you someone that plans to retire in a year and you'll be in a low income year? Maybe you're in a low income year, you could really accelerate how much you're taking out of the IRA because you don't have taxable income. But for a lot of people, it's safe to say that you'll be making the same, if not more money in the future than you are today. And if you hold off taking money out of this IRA until year 7, year 8, year 10, you might automatically be in a higher tax bracket from your income, or if you get married, and now you're adding more income on top of that. Also, don't forget about growth. This is one of the main things that always leads me to think that you should try to take that money out sooner rather than later. What I mean by that is, if, let's say, you inherited an IRA that's $45,000. And I just had a client, she was 27 years old, she was single, she's a teacher, she inherited an IRA that was $40,000. The conversation we had was that your money's invested, you expect it to grow. In 10 years, just figuring normal 8 to 10% returns in the market, that $40,000 could be $80, $90, $110,000. So growth is great, I want growth. But I'd much rather pay taxes if I can without kicking me to a higher bracket when the account is worth $40,000 than just, wait to 10 years, I don't have to pay any taxes now. And now I'm sitting there with a $100,000 account that has to come out in year 10. Now it's getting added to your income. So realize that you're invested to grow. That money that's eventually subject to income tax is only going to increase year after year after year. And the last thing you have to realize is RMDs, That's not an R. RMDs, which are required minimum distributions. You might have to take a required distribution if, let's say, whoever you inherit the IRA from was already taking their RMDs for that year. You will have to still take those RMDs throughout that 10-year period. And if you fail to take an RMD and satisfy it for the year, it comes with penalties from the IRS. It could be 10, could be as much as 25%, the penalty on the amount that you didn't take. And just thinking, well, hey, I'm 40, I don't have RMDs yet. If Uncle Bob was 75 and he had to take a $5,000 RMD for the year and you don't take it, well, you're gonna be forced to pay penalties on that. That's not including the fact that in 10 years you have to take it all out. You still have to satisfy the RMDs. Now, on the flip side, if Uncle Bob was 67 and he wasn't taking RMDs, you don't have to in that 10-year period. So that's something that's important to know and not to overlook. Something very easy to figure out, but something that you need to be conscious of. So to sum it up, we always want to optimize for taxes. And tax planning helps us keep more of the money that we've earned or the money that we've inherited. Realize that the IRS tells us what we have to pay taxes on, but it doesn't dictate, exactly when we have to pay those taxes. Yeah, the 10-year period, but we could pay them in year 1 and year 2 as opposed to waiting to year 10. As I said with a client of mine she was 27 years old, she's a teacher, just starting out, her income was about $60,000 a year. So we're gonna look to take the money out of the inherited IRA in the first 1 or 2 years and get the taxes out of the way while she's in a low bracket, with the thought that she'll eventually hopefully get married and have her husband's income as well, married filing jointly. The fact that hopefully in 10 years she's making more money than she is right now, and hopefully the IRA she inherited is worth more in 10 years from now. So we went through this exercise and realized that let's not wait, let's take as much as we can out this year and next year and get the taxes out of the way. So it's very important to understand the rules, but then build the strategy that makes the most sense for you. And this is just a number of things that you could think about. I'm sure there's some that I missed as well, but this is a great starting point that you could use to start to at least have your wheels turning and figure out, hey, I inherited this money, that's great, but now what? And make sure that you're making the smartest move when it comes to paying taxes, or else you're gonna be left with just giving away more money than you have to. And as I said, if you don't think about this and make a mistake, it could end up costing you thousands and thousands of dollars in taxes.